Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ladies, welcome to Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my Tatami partner, Anthony. This is a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So, Anthony, how you doing, brother?
I just woke up from a nice nap.
Nice nap.
I'm ready for this. Man, like, I know we're going to talk about it, but my Shodan test, like, totally jacked up my sleep schedule and my body was, like, not ready for it and everything. So...
Okay, your body's not ready. I'm like, your body's not ready for it. It wasn't that hard. I was there taking lots of photos and stuff, but yeah. I don't know. We'll talk about it in a little bit. So, I think it's, I don't know much for pleasantries right there. It just gets straight into the business of the show. Yep. So there's something that's going out there right now. I don't know if some instructors have seen this, but our instructors got it. And we've heard about other instructors hearing about it too.
I hear about it from Philippe all the time. Like, it seems like it's a very habit. It's kind of like those, what do you call it? Car scam calls. Like, oh yeah, your warranty on your dojo is about to expire.
Our warranty on our dojo. Oh yeah. Our 50,000 throw warranties on it. Yeah. So, you know how, at least in here in the United States, I don't know, but having Canada, Mexico, Europe, Asia, I don't know if they have it out there, but there's a big thing right here in the US where you get these robocalls or scam callers just doing phishing, just trying to get someone to scam, and it'll be like, "Oh, your car's warranty is about to expire." And it's like, "My car's never had a warranty." Or we can eliminate your student loans or your student debt and all that stuff. And they're like, I think I paid all that off already, but do I have more that I don't know about? Or this loan forgiveness BS stuff. So the new thing right now is going on. I guess it's for they're looking for gyms, martial art dojos, workout places, and so they call you and they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to be inside. We're going to be visiting your state." They don't say your city. They don't say your county. They don't say your dojo or gym or whatnot. They just say, "Yeah, we'll be visiting your state there soon, and we like your guys' stuff there. And I want to have my son or daughter come train with you guys. You guys interested?" And be like, "Oh yeah, great. A visitor, get excited. Someone's going to come. They want to train." And then they'll ask you like, "Oh, okay. Well, how much you guys cost?" And blah, blah, yakety schmackety, till it gets to the part where, "Oh yeah, well, we want to pay you up front." It's like, okay. Like most people are like, "Oh, great. They're going to pay me up front." But they don't want your Venmo. They don't want to send you a check. They don't want to PayPal you or nothing. They ask, "So what's your bank account number? Bank account number." Which nowadays I don't give nobody a bank account number. I don't give I don't give it. I don't give it to my wife. I don't give it to my wife. She don't even know what it is. Yeah. So, Anthony, what do you think about this new scam that's going out there for fitness clubs? So
I've heard Philippe talk about it many times, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, it's a one-off thing, but it's happened so often. And I mean, we all get those, like for those of you listening in the US, you all get those scam phone calls, and they're trying to do their best and trying to pass laws and regulations to prevent that. But most of them are coming from like India through our voice over IP system that you can't really stop. It's like automated. And so the way that, let's back up a little bit. The way that the scam usually works is it's usually targeting towards the elderly people that usually fall for this stuff. And it's like what you call phishing, right? Like you're just casting a wide net, and your target, it's not going to work on most people, but you're targeting those few suckers that fall for it. Sorry for those people that fall for it.
Oh, you're so mean. Yeah. You're so mean to old people.
You are. Like, I mean, we were talking about it. We know some family members that fell for it, right? And they're usually elderly or not technically inclined. You don't know how all this online stuff works. And it's usually, some of them were common ones is like, this is the IRS, you owe tax, you have to pay this amount. And I mean,
and send it to me in a prepaid Visa card. What?
Or gift cards, right?
Send me 10,000 in a Target gift card. I didn't know IRS took Target.
My wife's grandfather actually almost fell for this, and we stopped it right there. It was some tech support scam where they said they were Microsoft and like they need to pay for some support or something because their computer has a virus or something. But my point is, they usually ask you for your bank account number or tell you to send them some sort of weird payment, or that the payment didn't go through. Can you give me your email? Let me email you this link where you're going to go through and enter your information. That's how to get your information. So just be careful out there on, even if you're like, oh yeah, I won't fall for this. Just make sure your family members are looking out for this kind of scams. Back to this. So it seems like it's a variation of that. They probably get your bank account number and probably some other private information, or they'll log into your bank account online and withdraw money or wire money that way. So Philippe is a smart man, so he didn't fall for it. He was like, I gave him the phone number to the FBI headquarters or something one time, he said. And another time he said he called them back up and said, like, go fuck yourself. So,
language, young man, language.
Yeah. So just be wary. It's crazy out there.
Yeah, this is a new one for gyms, dojos, recreational centers. But because the thing that people get excited when you say like, oh, a new member's going to come, like everyone wants to get new members.
Especially with COVID, and a lot of people are desperate right now. And
it's funny how you were saying that they're all from India. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of Chinese ones calling me because my name's Juan Rodriguez.
The Chinese one is from the Chinese. So I get the Chinese one because it's my last name, right? Yeah. So they always.
I get the Chinese one then.
Do you understand what they're saying most of the time?
Yeah. Yes. I know exactly what they're saying, Anthony. No.
Okay. No. So usually they're targeting immigrants because they say like, this is the Chinese embassy or the US embassy. You need to like call us now because your green card or something like that is about to expire. And that's how they target Chinese immigrants. But yeah, there's tons of scams out there.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Like I said, I get them in English, I get them in Chinese, and then I get them in Spanish also. And I do like my most Caucasian voice when they start talking to me in Spanish. Be like, hola, ¿cómo estás? I'll be like, hello, who is this? How can I help you? What do you want? Be like, we want to speak with Juan Rodriguez. They're like, this is he. How can I help you? And they'll hang up on me most of the time.
The thing, I sometimes blame this on the government too, because my dad, for example, he received I helped him buy a house here to move down here a few years ago, and he received a tax bill, but the bill was in the middle of the year and it was addressed to the previous owner. So he just ignored it. He thought, oh, we already paid our taxes, whatever, right? Yeah. Next year he got a letter saying he owes taxes because he didn't pay that year, and he's, I didn't know you sent it to it was addressed to the old previous owner, and they didn't care. And they're like, what you should have done was paid it anyway. And then call us and figure it out. But then because of COVID, they didn't have anyone in the office.
Exactly.
So you call them, it doesn't work to tell you send an email. So basically the safest thing to do if you don't want to get fined for late fees, which is what my dad ended up having to pay, is that you pay the bill first and you sort it out later. Which is like what the scammers are betting on. It's just like, oh, you owe this tax money. You have to pay us now or you're going to get fined this much. Yeah. So now you have people paying this amount and then I'll sort it out later. I have to pay it off. I don't want to get fined or break any laws or lose my Social Security or lose my Medicaid or something. So yeah, the system is just jacked up, and there's a lot of ways for people to exploit people this way, exploiting their fears.
But this is one thing that they always say, like in the news about these type of things, that the IRS, oh, look, I'm playing my thing right here. The IRS will never ask you to pay something in a prepaid card. They will never ask you to pay something in a Walmart gift card.
Amazon gift cards. Yeah.
Or Amazon gift card. Or like, no, you need to pay some Bitcoin actually. It's like, no, the government will never ask you to pay anything in Bitcoin. Okay. And that's where it gets dangerous, where they want you to pay actually through a check or checking account. But like we said before, I don't give that shit out to nobody, you know. Man,
but I want to hire these scammers who work at tech support centers. It's like, man, if you can walk my dad through buying Bitcoin and paying you through Bitcoins online, like, man, you need to get hired to work these tech support centers, man.
You need a better job.
I can't even walk my dad through restarting his phone. Like,
so, yeah, just press the button. Just keep pressing it. Just continue pressing. It will vibrate.
There's a light popped up. It's vibrating. Yeah, but man, these guys are so elaborate in their scams that they're actually misusing their skills. So,
all right. Is there anything else about more of this? Letting people know about the scam you want to talk about?
Yeah, just be careful. It's rough times, and yeah. Just be smart about it. And if you're scammed, don't be embarrassed. That's a lot. That's one of the things from talking to my family members that got scammed is that they're all embarrassed about it. So they don't want to talk about it or get help. And that's how like sometimes there's a window where you can actually get the money back sometimes or stop this from happening. And when you're embarrassed and you don't ask for help, that's when you kind of just dig yourself deeper into the hole. So yeah.
Yeah. So people just keep an eye out for this new scam, especially if you're a dojo, own a gym, dojo, any martial art place where they're talking about, hey, we want our kid to come join you. And they're never going to say what dojo you're at. They're never say what city you're in. And they're never going to give like their name or nothing. If you want to write down like, oh, well, let me write down your name so we know who it is. They're never going to give you a name, and they're never going to tell you when they're coming. They're just going to say, oh, we're coming next month. We're going to come, we'll be in your location. We're going to be in your area. But they never say we'll be in Los Angeles. We'll be in California. We'll be in our dojo's near Koreatown. We'll be staying in Koreatown. They'll never say none of that kind of stuff. They're just going to give broad strokes, and you're going to get excited and be like, oh, you want to pay me early? Fantastic. Yeah. Here's the dojo's account number right here. And then next thing you know, you get a call from the bank. Yeah, your balance is zero.
Yep.
All right. So that's really the next topic right here. So it's kind of interesting thing that happened. We don't talk about other martial arts that often. We talk about MMA sometimes, but so here in Los Angeles, we always have, is it the World Championships or the US Championships?
I think it's USA Championships, like national. Okay. It's like their version of nationals. Yeah.
Yeah. So here in Los Angeles, we have the USA. Actually, Anthony, you explain. You're more into this stuff.
It's a USA Sumo Open.
Okay.
USA Sumo Open. So it's not unlike our nationals. I think it's actually open to all citizenships. So this past weekend, they actually held the USA Sumo Open, and usually it's down in Long Beach. That's where, in the pyramid, that's usually where they host it, I think.
Yeah.
There's also a bunch of like chankonabe restaurants out there. If you guys know what that is, it's what sumo wrestlers eat. There's some chankonabe restaurants out there. There's some sumo clubs there, and actually there's a sumo club that I found out through this event I went to that there's a sumo club near me in Carson. It's actually sharing a space with Taishi Judo. I think the place is called Taishi. They're sharing a mat space with them on Sundays and some Saturdays, I think. They had I'm kind of drifting away from it, but they have a former sumo top division sumo wrestler there. I don't think he got to like the top. I don't think he got as far as the sumo that I'm familiar with.
Oh, okay.
To know who he is. He's just called Yama, I think. But he still ran pretty far. It's still pretty impressive how far he got. But he's teaching out of there. It's called Yamato Sumo Dojo, I think it was called. So if you're local in the area, you're interested in sumo, check it out. I know sumo's getting really popular now, and that's something I kind of wish USA Judo and other national government bodies would learn from, is how they grow sumo here. I know Austin, my friends in Austin, there's like a bunch of sumo little groups popping up. And here it's like growing, and like the event I went to was filled with people. The energy was so high. It's not like a judo tournament where people are like falling asleep from waiting around for like 13 hours, and can't wait to just go home. But the energy was really high. Given the amount of staff I saw there, the event seemed pretty well organized. It could be better. Maybe when they were in the pyramid, it was better. And this is like a last minute thing. I know it's really hard to hold events right now, especially in California, given the restrictions and getting people to insure it. But yeah, it's amazing. There's people from all different countries there. I think there was an Egyptian guy there that was like 500 pounds. And
what?
There was a bunch of Mongolian guys.
500 pounds, pure muscle.
He wasn't pure muscle. Not like the as a common misconception that people have about what in Japan, the sumo that we're familiar with, that we watch, is called osumo, big sumo. That's like professional sumo.
Yeah.
Everything else that we see, is including the world championships for sumo, is amateur sumo.
Yeah. And
a lot of the world sumo champions end up being Japanese or Mongolian, end up going to osumo, that professional sumo. So Yeah, the level of sumo here is definitely nothing compared to what we see. Like, you don't see people charging head on at each other. Like, that's one thing I noticed. They don't charge straight on each other. But it's still really fun to watch, actually. There's weight classes. There was an open weight class, and there was a huge upset from this small, I wish I recorded, maybe I'll find it online later, but there's a small guy that just like came in lower than this huge, the Egyptian guy I was talking about, and just blasted him out, just knocked him out twice into out the ring. And the Egyptian guy was just on the floor stunned, like, what the hell just happened? Like, it was a huge upset. It was fun watching it. That the underdogs beating like this 200-300 pound weight difference guy is just really fun to watch. But I think they weren't able to secure the location at the Long Beach Pyramid, which is where they host a lot of BJJ tournaments too. So they ended up hosting it at the new Terasaki, is that? Terasaki.
I knew it when
Budokan.
they first started building that. When they first started building that place, it was always they always advertised the LA Budokan. LA Budokan. Because I really always liked that name. I always thought that if I ever opened up my own gym, I was going to call it the LA Budokan. That was my little secret name. If I ever opened up my own club, was going to be called LA Budokan. But then it came up like maybe 10 years ago, so it started more popular. It was actually started being made like 15 years ago, something like that, or further back. But it was always the working name was the LA Budokan. And I was supposed to be that they're going to build this nice, I want to say convention center or community center. This, I don't know what the heck you would call it, but it's this big venue that you could have lots of martial arts there. And the thing with Naka is that I think Naka, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, guys, now. I don't know if we donated money or not, but the plan was that once that place got built, Naka, our Yudanshikan, was going to start holding tournaments there. And I think it was supposed to be way bigger. But I think they actually lost some land to that new apartment building that's built right next to it. The new condos, apartment buildings right next to it. I think they lost land there. So it's smaller than what it was originally supposed to be. I think.
What I heard was they ran out of money. So they had to sell off part of that land to the developers to have money to finish off the building.
Yeah. So it's not as big as it was originally supposed to be. In my opinion, I actually been inside there one time. I was in the area one day. I was in Little Tokyo and I was driving home and I saw that it was open. So I just did I busted a U right in the middle of the street, parked right in front of that place. And I was like, it looks open. So I walked inside the little courtyard area. I walked inside and I got escorted out because I wasn't supposed to be inside there. And I'm like, you can't do this to me. Do you know who I am? But I actually talked to the guy that ran the place. We started talking about judo. And he was like, oh yeah, I love this. Not going to have tournaments here. But I looked inside and to me, it was a lot bigger inside than I thought it was. Because if you look at the outside of the place, if you look at the outside, it looks small. But when you go inside, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. You know, it's not tiny like I thought it would be inside, but it was bigger than I thought.
See, I had the opposite experience. Like, from the outside, I was like, wow, this place is big. It looks big. It's the same thing with my wife. Like, she was like, oh, wow, this looks pretty cool. This new building. We taught the morning adults beginner class, and then I showed up late there. And then I noticed the underground parking was blocked off. And I was like, oh, they must be full. There must be a lot of people in there. It must be a huge place. So I ended up parking at those public parking lots outside and walking back over. Yeah. And then when I went inside, they checked my tickets. And then I was like, so what's going on with the parking lot? It's blocked off. And they're like, oh, it's full. I was like, oh man, this must be a lot of people in there. He was like, there's only like 25 spots. And then I was like, what? Because one of the things that they were advertising when they're building this was that, oh, there's going to be this huge underground garage. It's going to be a nice convention center to host all these martial arts like kendo, karate, judo tournaments. That was volleyball, basketball. So I was, especially if you went on their website and looked at the plans back then, I mean, maybe I was misled, but my impression was there's going to be multiple gymnasiums there inside there for holding multiple events at the same time. And that there would be at least like 70 parking spots or something like that underground. Cause that's what they made it look like in those mock-up plans. And I did notice towards the end, they weren't really updating the progress on the building or posting any pictures. So I guess that was kind of like pointing towards what happened. But once you go inside, it's actually much smaller.
Okay. So you thought it was smaller. So let me go through like the history that I know of this building now. This would be like a totally different thing we're going to run off onto. But so, like I said, Naka was supposed to like we were supposed to, I don't know if we donated money, but Nako's supposed to get their own specific room inside there. I don't know if it's supposed to be a storage room or a dojo room or what inside that place. So we can store our stuff in there. And I think something happened where we couldn't store all our mats there because, as a Naka member, we have like 3 shipping containers full of mats for our tournaments. Yep. And if there's nowhere for us to store those mats at, what are we going to do? Bring them in once a month, ship them out somewhere else.
We should, our dojo has a shipping container too. Like we should charge Nanka to store it at our place.
Store 3 or 4 shipping containers in our parking lot. Why not? But so I was thinking about, we were originally supposed to get a room there, and like I remember people were excited about so we can just keep all the equipment there. It'd be awesome, be fantastic. And there was, like we said, there was supposed to be a kendo class, karate class, a new judo club was supposed to start there. They were supposed to have all these martial art things, like all these martial arts. Were supposed to train there because it was the LA Budokan. It's supposed to be a part of the Japanese Community Center and all these things. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is wrong, but the reason the name got changed is because another family that really likes basketball a whole lot donated a bunch of money. And that's why, because the amount of money that they donated, watch, we're going to get heat from them now. They're going to come after us. They donated a bunch of money and they support basketball. So that's why this place now is majority being used for basketball, and it was kind of built for basketball.
It looks that way. Exactly. Yeah. The inside, you see like it already has this basketball scoreboard, like it's just missing the bleachers actually.
Yeah.
There's no bleachers.
Did they have a rollout? I thought they had rollout bleachers. I was told.
I didn't see.
Maybe they were taken outside maybe. But yeah, so from what I remember last time, there was only like 2 or 3 smaller rooms inside there that you maybe do things inside of. Mm-hmm. The large, like what would you call that? The large venue area. There's an outside courtyard, and then like kind of a second floor, smaller outside courtyard. Also,
there's 2 courtyards. There's 2 courtyards. Yeah. Yeah. One's the entrance area, and another one is like at the side. Yeah.
And then they have one of those little Japanese rock gardens inside a place with one tree sticking out.
I did not see that. There's an upstairs. I went upstairs to this area that has a children's playground upstairs. There's probably enough room there for a mat too, but then I'd be afraid of people throwing someone off the balcony.
Well, that's what I was joking with you about. That's what I was joking with you when you sent me thinking about this place is too small. Like, so we'll have smaller mat areas, and then we'll have a couple mats outside.
I thought you were serious, but
I was you always think I'm serious. I'm joking about that, but we could. Well, I remember that's what Mojica did when they changed the minimum space between mats. When they changed that, it had to be like 3 tatamis or 4 tatamis long, and they were like, "Oh, how are we gonna have tournaments now?" Well, we just make the fighting area smaller, and then the mat space in between there bigger. That's just what we do.
Is that why the Mojica tournaments, the mats are smaller? The mat area was smaller. No wonder. I was like, I'm like, maybe I'm just tall, but when I find it, I was like,
maybe it's just me. But yeah, that's what Mojica did, because that's when their big fundraisers for their dojo is having those 2 tournaments a year.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of just, because they have 4 if you count their inside area that they have for children. So they have 4 mat areas, but with the new dimensions, they couldn't do it with that same fighting area design. So what they did, they just made the fighting area smaller and just made the places in between the mats bigger. So we could do that. If Naka wanted to have a tournament there, they could do that. But when I went there, I saw, in my opinion, just my opinion now, if you don't have a bunch of stands there, so there's not gonna be a whole lot of place for parents to sit around, stand around and stuff. Maybe they have to go outside and hang out more. You could put 4 mats in there, 4 fighting areas, I think, pretty easily. That's just my opinion. But you've been inside there for an event. What did you think?
Yeah. So the sumo stage itself was like the size of a mat area. Okay, maybe my perspective is skewed because most of them were humongous guys.
Yeah.
I think if you have no spectators, I think you can have 4 mats in there, like with like an area for table, like the side ref table, and like maybe the prep area and a warm up area. Mm-hmm. Inside, you'd probably be able to get 4 mats going.
Yeah.
If you add in spectators, I think there's going to be 2, maybe.
I think
only 2 mats inside.
Well, if you do it how, and this again, now we're going off topic. If you do it how Mojica does it, they have just like
then
2 3-chair areas right there, and then I think if you do something small like that, not a whole lot of spectation area where people can just sit down and watch, no bleachers and stuff. Maybe they have bleachers. I swear to God, I saw bleachers when I was there.
There's no bleachers. There was no bleachers. Now that you told me that Mojica does that, as a big guy, I would not pay money to compete in it. Just saying. I'll go coach kids like I did a few times, but I'm not going to pay money to fight in a constrained area, you know? So
you want to fight in a phone book? You don't want to do judo in a phone book? Come on, in a phone booth, not a phone booth.
I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know how much space it would have in that Budokan place with, if you decrease mat size, but a standard like judo mat, IJF judo match regulation size, I think you would only be able to put realistically with spectators, only 2 mats there and maybe 1 outside. Well, I don't know who wants to take falls outside. So.
Well, that brings me to, what's the difference? You're going on hardwood floors or concrete? What's the difference? Come on.
You might as well just rent the parking lots I was talking about outside.
Well,
most of the events there.
We could. That's going to bring you to the next thing when we're talking about this damn sumo stuff. We're getting some more stuff to this. So that was the thing about when they were building this place and they're asking for donations, when they're asking karate dojos and aikido clubs and aikido dojos and stuff, judo dojos. For the thing was like, hey, we're going to build this great place and be huge. We're not going to have to rent out the Long Beach pyramid anymore. We'll even have the Nikkei games here at this venue, you know? And if you've been,
you mean Azusa, the Azusa University, Pacific University.
No. We have the Nikkei games at the pyramid each year.
Oh, that's only the Nikkei games though.
Yeah. I'm saying they have the Nikkei games there and that's what they want to do for it. And here in Los Angeles, we have this Nisei week.
Nikkei games, so for those who don't know, Nikkei games, there's judo, kendo, and karate tournament happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Side to side. Next to each other. There's no way they're going to fit that into Budokan.
Yeah, there's no, and the way it's built now, the way it looks now, there's no way. You would have judo inside, karate outside, and then we'll have kendo in that little walkway that's going back and forth.
They should make it into like a triathlon. Remember that decathlon we talked about? You fight MMA and then judo, different rule sets, boxing, Muay Thai. You just do that, like throw some for ippon, run over, grab a kendo stick, and start hitting people.
And then finish with a punch when you're done.
Get graded by your style. Yeah.
So that's what this building was supposed to be. In Anthony's opinion, he thinks it's very small. I'm always about working things, trying to get things to work. So I'm like, okay, if we do this, we can get it. If we do that, we might be able to work it in there. But right now, I don't know that because they're supposed to have a karate club there, a kendo club, and a judo club. I haven't heard anything about them hiring anybody. I haven't heard about them looking for any karate clubs or judo people to teach at all there. So, someone trying to break in right now?
My dog is clawing on my door. Yeah.
So that's that room. So let's go back to the sumo now. So we talked about the building itself. And stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing about driving. Like for me, that side talk again. For me, I live here in Koreatown. I can just take the subway, get off right there in Little Tokyo.
I was talking to my wife about it. I was talking to Jessica about it. She was like, "Oh man," I'm like, "Nobody's gonna want to." I told her, I'm like, "They can't hold Namka tournaments here. Nobody's gonna want to drive here and find parking, or park a block away and walk by the homeless encampment that was like next to it."
Well, if you want, you can park at Mitsuwa, just go buy $25 worth of groceries. You get 2 hours free. All right.
I paid $10 for a flat rate parking 2 blocks away. And that's not too bad, but I walked by some crazy people, and imagine you with a family of like 5 kids coming out from suburbs. Most people aren't going to be comfortable walking past that. So, God, the dog's really trying to get in. But the sumo tournament is actually pretty fun. I only stayed for like 2 hours ish, mainly because this is where I'm going to talk about the bad parts. So when I bought,
before we get to the bad parts, let's go to run. I don't want to get to the bad stuff just yet. This was a men and women's tournament, right?
Yes. I did not see any women. I think I missed all the women's stuff by the time I got there.
Okay. And for the men, I know in Japanese traditional sumo, there's a minimum weight of 185. Is it, or is it higher?
I'm not sure at all, but I saw some pretty small looking people there. Like, so skinny.
So in your opinion, what would you say the smallest guy in the tournament was? Because you said you saw a guy 500 pounds. What was the smallest dude?
So when we got there, it was in the middle of the open weight preliminaries, the final preliminary rounds of the open weight. So we saw anyone ranging from like around 200 pounds to like 500, like I said. But on average, everyone's probably around the 350, 300 mark, I think, on average. And then
that's still a big boy. That's a big boy.
I'm guesstimating, but they're pretty big. After the preliminary rounds, there was an intermission, And then after an intermission, they started off the finals, and they started with the lightweight people. And the lightweight people looked like they were like under 200, like probably 185 or something.
All right.
They're pretty small. Yeah.
What was their set weight class? Like you said, their weight class, was it like lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight? Or
yeah.
Was it like
I left after the lightweight finals, but most, which is one of the bad things I would say, I left because they ran out of beer.
You can go to Mitsuwa. It's just a block away. All right.
It's different. Okay. So there was definitely lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. We can look up online afterwards, but, yeah, the lightweight was fun to watch because it's kind of like judo. You don't just see someone bulldozing someone that's like different weight than you. There was actually good competition and fight going on. And someone at the last round, the Mongolian guy suplexed another Mongolian guy straight onto their head. I know you would have loved it because it was
that's awesome.
It was not a uranage sideways throw. It was a straight on wrestling suplex onto the head.
Yeah, big sweaty mess up meat.
Yeah, that was impressive. Everyone was like, "Oh!" Like, so that was the highlight of the match for me. Basically, how the day for me going there. Was that what you asked about? Like, I'm sorry I didn't stay for the whole thing, but.
Well, okay, like you said, that you didn't stay for the whole thing, and you said, "Oh, because they ran out of beer." Was it just taking too long for you, or was it just slow?
So let me give you the whole picture. So I could not find parking, so I had to park pretty far away, and it was pretty hot that day. So when we got there, I was sweating already. Plus the lights. I don't know when I go shopping in a mall, because I'm tall, the bright lights kind of shine down on me closer, and I start sweating even worse. So the place is packed. Well, okay, around the edge is not packed, but around the ring is really packed. And when I bought the tickets, I knew it was kind of going to be like that. So I bought the more expensive tickets, hoping to get like a proper assigned seats so I can sit through it. Because I know my wife probably would have like not enjoyed it as much as I did for long periods of time. So I bought the nicer seats, and it was kind of like a birthday present to myself, right? Because it was my birthday that day. I got there, could not find my seats. It was like East section, seats 9 and 10, and there's like no labels on the thing. So I went around like looking, okay, maybe I'll ask this guy with a staff shirt on, right? So I asked him, and he basically like, I don't know. So I went to the sumo wrestlers, and they don't know because they're just competing, right?
Yeah. So why are you asking sumo wrestlers where to sit?
Because there's like I said, given the resources that were given, it seems like it was pretty well run, because there was literally only like 2 people I saw with staff shirts on there that weren't like actively doing something. So then I went to a girl that was working there for the community, the Budokan. I'm going to start calling it community center, because it's technically it's still small, but it's just community center, right? It's not this venue that we're making it out to be. So I asked her, and she said, "Oh, I don't know. I just work here. You're going to have to ask the event staff." So I end up going back out to the front, people in the front lines, and they didn't even check my ticket properly. They should have seen like I had reserved tickets and then escorted me or tell me where to sit. Oh, okay. Because all they told me was like, "Oh, there's not that many seats left." I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, they told me it's assigned seats. So
assigned seating. Yeah.
I went back out. I'm like, "Hey, I couldn't find my seats." And he didn't know where it was. So he ended up going like, so what happened was the seats were labeled, but they're not labeled in the back. They're labeled in the front where people are sitting. And obviously there are a bunch of overweight people that are sumo size sitting on the seats. And he had to ask them, "Oh, excuse me, can you move aside so they can read the label?" Like, why would you label it from the front and not the back where you can see it from the back, right?
Now, were there chairs, or are you sitting on the floor?
It's folding chairs, but the folding chairs, even for me, I'm not fat, but I'm kind of wide, broad. And for me, it was kind of small. So what ended happening was there just overweight couple that was actually sitting on 2 seats each, and they basically took up our seats because we showed up late. So the guy had to ask them to move aside, and I was like scrunched up. So me and Jess were like huddled up, and
it was World Championships all over again.
Yeah, World Championships all over again, right? But that guy was muscular. This guy was like wide, like he's like super wide, and I could tell he felt bad, but I was like basically touching him, and I was already sweating from walking over and the lights and everything. And now his heat is like radiating into me. So I'm like just like dripping and Jess, are you okay? You're like sweating really, really badly.
No, this match is intense. I really feel it. I really feel this match right here.
So you can imagine it's not the most comfortable thing to be doing. And I was sitting on the second row. The seats were just wooden folding chairs. And then I didn't want to miss the action. So during intermission, I was like, oh, you want a beer? And they were charging $6.50 for a can of beer, by the way. So
$6.50 for a small can.
Yeah. And Jessica at that point, because I made her go wake up early to go watch class with us before we went there, she didn't eat anything or drink anything. So she was dehydrated and hungry.
Mm-hmm. And you're giving her a beer.
Well, we went up to the stand and this guy just like scooted in front of me. Like basically, I wouldn't say he cut in line, but he kind of just like slid in front of me. And he bought the last 2 cans of beer. So the guy, I thought they had more in the ice chest in the back, and he was just like, no, we're done. That was it. I'm like, the finals are starting and you sold out of beer. Like what? And your sponsor, I'm like, can you, like you said, Mitsua's right across the street, right? Like,
run to Mitsua. There's a 7-Eleven right across the street from here. Okay. There's a 7-Eleven right there. Go buy me a supporter.
But no, they just packed up and that was it. So I just was like, okay, let me go see if there's anything else. Like maybe there's a food stand within this community center. Because when we went to the pyramid, they actually sold food there. They had concessions and everything.
They have like three vendors or something, 3 or 4 vendors.
This place doesn't have a concessions or anything. Mm-hmm. So I went upstairs and then I saw that there's actually a little picnic table upstairs with a window that looks straight down into the sumo arena. Mm-hmm. And it has a better view than the seats I have on the second row. And there's this couple just like brought their takeout food, sat there eating, drinking beer, and just looking down without paying for those tickets.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, this really makes me feel like I just wasted a ton of money. Like,
I really feel stupid right now. Wow.
I feel really stupid right now. Yeah. And they didn't have to sit next to this big sweaty guy. So I told Jessica, I'm like, okay, I know you're hungry. I know you're dehydrated and it's hot. Let's finish watching the finals for the lightweight and we'll leave. And I'm glad I stayed for it because that's when I saw the suplex on the last match.
Okay.
So,
wow. So did they do, so you got to watch the men's lightweight final. Were they going to do like men's, women, or did they do all the women's in the morning?
So I actually don't think they divided the women's into weight classes because I didn't see it on the schedule and they probably didn't have enough women, to be honest. So,
okay.
Yeah, but another thing I maybe just I'm going to get a lot of flack and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but most of the sumo wrestlers there, not all of them, but most of them did not take the ritual seriously. If you know what I'm talking about, all the pre-match rituals. I know they're trying to get the matches going fast, so it's not like old sumo or the big sumo we're talking about, where they like line up, stare each other down, go back, throw some salt. There's no salt, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That was my second question right there. So what did they throw like salt or like a little bit of sand or some water on the mat or something?
No, it's kind of like a wrestling mat on a stage. Basically.
Well, that's okay. That's the kind of thing. Okay. So you have to throw the salt to purify the ring for the match. No. So do they at least mime it, like fake it, like, oh, like I'm faking throwing some salt on there?
No, every few matches, there's like a guy and a girl that comes in and just wipes down the mats down from the sweat. No, they didn't. They did. All they did was they sit down, do the thing where they clap and then show that they have no weapons.
Yeah, show the open hands. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they come in close to each other by the line, sit down, and then the ref will signal to start.
Okay.
Like basically, there's
not that little hand touch there where like whoever his hand lash symbolize.
Oh no, they still do that. They still do that. Basically, I'm saying they start off far apart and they do the thing where they clap and then they stick their hands out.
Yeah.
And then the ref will be like, okay, come in. Basically, he stick. Okay, that's pointing at the camera. He goes like this.
Okay.
And then the two sumo wrestlers were getting close to each other next to the line, and then they'll sit down again and then stand back up, and then the ref will keep that beginning position. That means that's their think of it as a bow. It's like they're bowing.
Yeah.
And then that's when they're getting ready to charge. They'll back up and get ready to charge, basically. Even though there wasn't much charging. I think I told you already.
Yeah, you said there wasn't a whole lot of just big men slapping meat. This type of sumo I like to see.
Yeah.
All right. Now, was the ref saying "daskoi" or
no? He's supposed to say "hakyoi" is what they're supposed to say, but because the venue was so loud, I could not really hear what the ref was saying. I sometimes felt like I heard "hakyoi," but other times I felt like he said "begin" or "fight" or something. I don't know, but yeah, that really kind of. I know they're trying to rush it, but a lot of sumo wrestlers just kind of like half-assed it like that. And to me, that's like a big part of sumo is the culture behind it. So,
so that's to start off the match. Now, when you win the match, did the whole thing where they sat down again and then they do the little hand slicing thing for the simulation for the money that they get? Did they do that part?
Yeah. The winner has to do that. The loser just bows. And so they did that part. And again, some people just half-assed it. Other people actually did it. There's no money. But another interesting thing I thought was that they had corner judges. Sorry, I knocked my mic. They had corner judges, and they had a monoi actually at one time. And this is so different from judo. They actually had someone in front of my seat go up with their cell phone footage to review what happened. Who fell first.
Did anybody record this? I did. Me right here. I got it.
So I think they know that guy. I think they know that guy, but it's kind of different from judo where it's like, we can't review cell phone footage, you know?
Yeah. So we get that so much. Parents running up. Look right here. My son didn't fall. Like, I'm sorry. I can't look at it.
Yeah. They had corner judges, and you're not supposed to walk in front of the corner judge, like when they enter the ring. A lot of the competitors did that. And I'm kind of like, I feel like you should have told them this before the event started, right?
Yeah, very disrespectful.
Because they kept doing that, walking in front of the corner judge. And they kept having to tell them to walk around. And then there were a few times they called people's name up and they didn't show up until much later. It just feels like it was very, they didn't communicate with the competitors that well. But again, I don't know what kind of resources or timeline they were working on. So I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it was a pretty, I would say, successfully run event given the attendance, the price of the tickets that I paid for, and and how it ended up. They were running behind schedule a little bit. The announcer was great. The announcer was explaining what's happening all the time, the rules, like why this is called this way, what a monoi is, why the judges decided to call it this way. He kind of did the whole thing where they're like, oh, like we're going to have all Mongolian finals. Maybe we'll have a USA, like American person final. And then people are chanting USA, USA.
Oh my God, get out of here. Get out of here with that. I hate that. Like I love California. I love America. I love California and stuff. And I support America and stuff when it comes to my states and my country. But I hate that chant so much. I hate the USA chant. I hate that match. I hate that stuff so much. That chant is so annoying to me. But that's me. I know by some fans out there, some other people listening would be like, oh, screw you, Juan. I love that chant. I was like, if I was at a place, I would be like, California, be like, CA, CA, CA.
Yeah. So the format, but I'm basing the format off my understanding of the format from when I showed up. It seems like they had people fight 6 matches and they take the best record. And they have tiebreakers. Basically, some people are 5-1 or something, so they had to fight again.
Like a round robin, then.
Yeah, so they had everyone fight because in big sumo you fight 15 matches throughout 15 days, 1 match a day.
Yeah.
So it seems like here they're just having you fight 6 matches like straight
in one day.
Not straight, but in one day. And they had a few tiebreakers, but there was one competitor. He legit looked like Santa Claus, like.
I thought you weren't allowed to have a beard in judo. I think you weren't allowed to have a beard in sumo. What happened?
Yeah, it's amateur sumo, right? But people had beards. There's some guy with dreadlocks. I'm just like, man, like that makes it kind of hard to grab your neck and stuff, but whatever. So there's a guy that was clearly a senior citizen and was competing. And he was there over and over again because I was like, well, he's fighting again. He lost so many times, but he's still fighting. It was because of the 6 matches thing I was talking about.
Bushido, fighting spirit, man.
Yeah, but people didn't just like destroy him. They were nice about it and just like got good control and just like pushed him out. So they didn't crush him or anything. And he was trying to hype the crowd up. So
they do things to get both underhooks, grab him by his belt, lift him up, and just take him outside the ring.
I did not see any of that happening actually, even though there were some weight class disparities. But overall, it's a very fun event. Sumo, it's fun. Sumo is fun. It's to watch. I haven't done sumo before, but I plan to try it out when my knee feels better, but it's a very fun event. I would highly recommend it, especially when they move back to a bigger venue. I would probably give it another shot. If they're hosting it in the same venue again, I'm not going to go back.
You just do the outside thing. You just get some bento, get a couple beers, and go sit at a bench.
I could do the outside thing, exactly. But now I'm going to have to fight that woman for that spot. I'd have to show up early.
Fight everybody. They're going to listen to our podcast. Everyone will know about this spot now.
Well, they kept saying how this is the first live sporting event held at that venue at the Budokan, at the community center,
the LA Budokan,
Terasaki Budokan. This is the first live event held there. I mean, I think it'll be a great spot to have a dojo. Honestly, that's good size. Has bathrooms and everything. So we need more judo dojos in the LA area. That spot's going to be another competitor to our location, technically.
Well, it's closer to Tenri than it is to us. So
yeah. So we have Tenri, LA Judo, and Hollywood Judo us in the driving vicinity. So it'll be nice to have more dojos, like probably out between the west side and the east side, somewhere in the middle. So those, or even Englewood, Manhattan Beach, like even the more affluent areas, if you had more dojos, would be great. So it's just really weird spot to pick to open another dojo, but it's a nice spot for a dojo.
Well, like I said, it's a community center. They're supposed to have judo, they're supposed to have kendo, supposed to have karate, and whatever other martial arts they're going to have there. Now, back to the sumo thing is another question of mine.
Okay.
What were they wearing? Were there like red belt corner? Was there black belt corners, white belt corner? Or was there like you just wore whatever color you came? Because remember, when you normally watch Grand Championships of Sumo, everyone wears a different color to symbolize like what they're ranking and where they're at.
No, so that's not true. To correct what you said.
Okay.
The top division gets to wear silk. So the belt, the thing that they wear is called mawashi. Mawashi. The top ranking people get to wear the silk ones, and they get to pick their colors.
Oh, okay.
When they reach the top, when they get the top division, the top level division, the Makuichi division, they get to pick to wear their belt colors. And then when they get there, they actually get to commission one, kind of like how when I got my black belt, I went to order a black belt from a place. You get to commission it from this guy, and then one other thing is, you know those little things that fall out all the time when you watch sumo? The little strands.
The little braids.
The little braids. They're called sagara. So the sumo wrestlers actually get the same silk fabric that they commissioned from the weaver, and then they make it themselves. It's dipped in glue to harden, but they kind of like the friendship bracelets. I don't know if anyone's ever made friendship bracelets when they were a kid. You kind of like tie it. So it's kind of like that. They hang it up and they tie it, and then they dip it in glue to make it hard. Those are reserved for top ranking wrestlers. Now, when you go below the top rank, everyone wears cotton mawashis. And then they get to wear the sagaras are soft. They're like wave. You see they're shaking about. They're not hardened by glue. So that's how you differentiate it. And one of my favorite sumo wrestlers called Uda, when he debuted, he wore a pink mawashi, and the Sumo Association wasn't very happy about that. But so there are like acceptable and non-acceptable colors, I guess.
But so what did these amateurs wear though? What colors were they wearing? They
mostly wore black and white, and they don't. Okay. That's a good question. I don't think they made them swap, not like how we swap belts in judo tournaments. So they mostly wore black and white, and they look like they were cotton. They're just cotton.
Okay.
So they didn't have the ropes or anything.
Okay. And I do see sometimes when I look at these photos from like these US Opens or these amateur ones, some people wear like bicycle shorts or tight end, what we call them, like judo.
Yeah, they wore like compression shorts underneath. A lot of people did that. There were people that chose not to wear it too. And I feel like, I don't know the rules, but I feel like there should be some regulations around it, because some of the people that did wear compression shorts underneath, their mawashi was super loose. So I'm like, if those shorts weren't there, they would have exposed their balls or something like that. Like,
and that's direct disqualification, right?
If it falls off, it's disqualified. You're disqualified. If the thing comes undone, then it's disqualified. But I'm like, okay, so at the top level, people do prefer to tie it tighter or looser depending on their preferences. Some people like, oh, I want to give more slack so people can't lift me up as easily. But sometimes people are like, I want it tighter so it's harder for them to grip. So there are preferences. But in this case, I'm like, man, that's so loose. Like it's just like loose. And there's another guy who had it like all the way up above his belly button, which is like, I'm like, that's so high up. Like, I feel like I should look up the rules after this, but there should be some rules regarding it. Kind of like how, can you imagine in judo, we're not allowed to grab below the belt. Imagine if I tied my belt around my chest, like
all the way up to the top.
It's like, oh, you can't grab below the belt. Like,
but in judo, a ref would be like, lower your damn belt right now. Okay.
Yeah. So
down your waist.
I did notice something like that, was that the people wearing compression shorts did not, some of them had their mawashi kind of, it fit really weird. Let's just say it that way. So
that sounds like a very interesting event that you went to. It sounded like fun. The last time I saw sumo live, when this was years ago here in Little Tokyo, is that we used to have a really big cherry blossom festival, and we haven't had one in years, a very big cherry blossom festival. But so not right across the way. So with the way the venue is now, so there's where the venue is, it's right next to the Little Tokyo Library. And there's these brand new condo apartments. There used to be a big parking lot right there, condo apartments across the street. And then across from there, there's this big open courtyard area. It's all cement and bricked. And it's a really nice area. So years ago, they had a judo thing out there. There's actually a meme out there about this too. So they had a judo event out there, and it was just a light one guy just going out there and during the Cherry Blossom Festival. So it was just demonstrating judo. I mean, not judo. I mean, demonstrating sumo. So they're out there picking each other up, doing some like throws to each other, demonstrating sumo. So it wasn't a real fight, but it was really cool seeing them throw each other. And then in my head, because I'm crazy, I'm like, they're throwing each other on these bricks, on this concrete, on the cement floors. Yeah. That just had to be nuts. But if you ever see this meme of these two sumo guys, I think one's Caucasian, one's African-American. I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but two guys, and one picks one up and throws them. And then it has the whole world being sucked into this black hole.
Oh gosh.
That's where that comes from. From that event. And you can see the Japanese, like, I don't know what the building is right there, but it's like a Japanese cultural building right there too, where they have things, but it's right there in that courtyard. And I always thought it'd be really cool to have a judo event right there too. You know, like do an outside tournament one day. But
we also talk about that. We should have outdoor tournaments. Like, it's more safe in terms of COVID. So maybe people are more willing to insure. Like companies are more willing to insure it, the events, and also it draws crowds. Like.
Yeah, just doing out there in the public, people can see it. The only thing is that I don't know if I'm going to be thrown. Like tatami's nice to land on and stuff, but you're going to tatami straight on concrete, and you're sore enough after a judo tournament when you fight on hardwood floors. Yeah, now I'm being thrown on concrete directly. I haven't done that in years.
Maybe they can. Yeah, maybe we could look at adding some extra layers below it, or some mobile. The crates, not the crates, the pallets.
Yeah.
So maybe you could put blind those underneath the mats and stuff. So that'll work.
That's an idea.
Yeah, I mean, these are out of the box ideas that we need to start thinking of anyway. But I was looking on Instagram the other day, and I saw these people in Central European countries. They're using, like, obviously they have lower resources, lower amount of income. They have these like holes in their mats, but they're hosting their tournaments outdoors. So that's just how they're adapting to this. And I mean, I think it'll be cool to have demonstrations or randori in general. I've been to some judo demonstrations as a kid, and also now as an adult, I've seen it in street fairs and stuff like that. But it's always like jumping ukemi over like 10 kids, or like showing some basic throws, and it's impressive. But I think we need to show what randori looks like. I feel like that's a lot more impressive, randori, and
like that would definitely be interesting if they did another cherry blossom festival, or if we just got a permit, just you and me get a permit. We go out there, take some of the Tommy mats, and we just do a judo demonstration, like just
farmers market,
not a shoot fight.
We should do it at a farmer's market. We'll rent like a booth. I'm
not saying we're going to go out there and have a real fight or nothing, but be just like a little fun thing. Like, hey, Anthony, throw me here, like act a little bit and they'll throw you.
Or just like Yakusoku Geiko, like just take turns throwing. But it'll be cool. And, what I was going to say? Before my knee surgery, I was actually practicing to do a jumping ukemi on concrete. Like I could already do basic ukemi on concrete, but I saw this guy from, I want to say Judo Life YouTube channel. He posts on Reddit sometimes too, but he's this Australian judoka that has a candy cane belt, and there's a video of him teaching ukemis, and at the very end, you see him go out in the middle of the street checking if there's any cars coming by, and he jumped up in the air, did a flip, and landed.
Okay.
I'm like, I want to be able to do that. That's how confident I want to be with my ukemi. And this guy is like gray hair and bald, so I'm like, he's not young, and he's doing that. And I'm like, there's no excuse.
Was it a forward ukemi or just a straight back ukemi?
No, it's in. You know how we tell the beginners to not jump in the air and go forward? So that they get more momentum to roll up.
Yeah.
No, this guy jumped up in the air, did a flip, and landed straight down like this.
Okay.
So it's a hard fall, and he did it. So,
do not try this at home, kids.
Don't try it at home. Seriously. I tried it a couple of times, and my ribs hurt for a few weeks. So it means I'm not there yet. My ukemi skill is not there yet. And I think my ukemi is pretty good. It's mostly with me. I think for me, it's mostly mental. I talk about this with the beginners a lot that I teach break falls to, is that a lot of ukemi is the mental part. If you get scared and you tighten up, you're going to feel that impact. And, so I'm working on that. Hopefully I'll be able to upload it to our YouTube channel and I can do it.
Okay. So, it's funny because I do a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't mind falling and flipping and doing all these like tumbling things. I love doing stuff like that. But something like that to me is like, if it happened to me in real life, I could do it no problem. But if you're like, hey, Juan, go do this, I'm like, get the out of here.
I'm not going to do this as a party trick. Like, hey guys, look what I can do. Like,
I always tell the story about years ago when I was on Angels and Demons. I was doing light stunts on that thing. They had this big crash thing, and they had the main stunt people near where the crash is going to be. And I was on the outer part where we're supposed to run away, and like some people are supposed to fall. And I'm running away, and I lose my bet. I trip over myself like an idiot, and I just do a forward ukemi. I don't do a forward ukemi. I roll, and then I'm like, oh, I'm on the ground. No, I roll. I pop up. I mean, my stance and stuff, and then I continue running. And the stunt choreographer goes like, hey, you did judo, don't you? I was like, yeah, I do. Nice roll, man. It was nice.
See, the rolling thing isn't that hard if you've done judo for a while. A lot of people get impressed by it, but I'm like, I can do it. Like I was visiting my friend in Japan, and I was just like, oh, I can do that anywhere. I can do it right now, but they're like, no, don't do it. They feel embarrassed if I were to do it on the street. So, but that jumping, I'm going to put it in the description for this episode, but that jumping ukemi landing is impressive, and it's one of my bucket list items of something I want to be able to do. All
right. So to work towards.
Watch me break an arm or something. And
no. All right. So is there anything else about the judo tournament? Anything else about the sumo tournament you want to talk about?
No. Watch sumo. Sumo is great. I mentioned it a few times. There's an episode we talked about sumo rules, and then I nerded out sumo with Christian, who we had on the podcast. It's gaining in popularity. A lot of people are streaming it on Twitch, and I'm talking about Big Sumo, not USA Sumo, by the way. A lot of people are streaming on Twitch and YouTube now. It's more and more channels are popping up. There's more people, English channels, talking about it and basically talking about the news, like the greatest sumo wrestler of all time just retired this past week, and it was big news, and a lot of people were talking about it. I mean, if you can go back and look up the old tournaments from this past like 10 years, it's just amazing watching him fight. When I started watching sumo, I'm like, all these people suck. No, this guy just makes them look like high schoolers because he's that good. And it's sad that he's retiring because his body just couldn't hold up anymore. So, yeah, but sumo's fun. Wish judo would learn from sumo and how to grow in English speaking countries the way it is now.
And it's funny, it's much easier to watch sumo now because back when I was younger, and this is when sumo was first starting to get popular in the US, is somehow out of nowhere. And I think because ESPN2 was just looking for stuff to put on. This is when ESPN used to actually put on kickboxing matches and karate and taekwondo matches and stuff. The ESPN2 would every now and then put on a sumo tournament, like a Japanese sumo, not like some American or some European. They would put on actual Japanese sumo highlights and show entire tournaments. And that's how I caught it. It's via channel surf on the weekends at home. You're like, click, oh, sumo. And and it's funny when you start watching sumo just to get into it, you're like, no good. Get him. And especially with us being judo players, there's a lot of throws, a lot of judo throws are done in sumo, but they're not called the judo names because they're different. They're not using the gi. So it's like, hit him with haragoshi. He hit him with the blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bullshit, haragoshi.
Yeah,
that was ogoshi. Get out of here.
I think the problem with streaming for judo though is that there's so many kids fighting, and I don't know how many people would be interested in actually watching kids fight mostly compared to adults. The sumo is all adult. There's no kids. You're not going to find kids fighting sumo streaming online.
No,
you will actually. I'm just saying most of it will be adults. So that's one thing that they'll have to fix. They should just fix the attendance. And I mean, if anyone from USA Sumo is listening, I will volunteer to commentate for every USA Judo event, sanctioned event. I will commentate all day for free.
They did do that. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago. This is when USA Judo was starting to stream, and they stream the USA
I saw
Nationals.
It was terrible though.
Yeah. Hey,
it was buffering.
Anthony was talking about me getting heat on us. Like I'm gonna get hate on us. Anthony gets more heat on us than anyone else.
I just care about getting sued, and you can't sue for opinions and facts. Okay.
I'm always worried about Anthony's heat he's getting on me, man. Because who's the ones that have to fight him? I'm gonna have to fight him. All right, that's why I'm gonna have to get.
Juan, we just denied your fourth Dan promotion because your podcast.
We listened to your podcast. Fucking Anthony. But yeah, they did have announcers. Like I want to say like 2-3 years ago, they did it with announcers. I didn't know about the year right before the pandemic started. I didn't watch that year because I was there that year competing. So I don't know if they did announcing again, but that'd be great if they did. Like if they can learn from how the IGF does how the IGF does their stuff and have maybe just one announcer per mat or something, just announcing the stuff. That'd be great. So people can understand.
That's a little aiming too high, I think.
You think it's a little too high?
Yeah.
And right now we just have it on. Right now they just do it on YouTube. Do you think maybe if we switch over to like add it on Twitch or something?
They're trying. It's funny because they're trying to capture the young crowd, but yet they're posting it on freaking YouTube. It's like
to them that is the young crowd. Okay, they're trying here. What do you want? At TikToks also? I'm
just like, do they have a what we call an equivalent of like either a CTO or chief technology officer or equivalent of a e-commerce marketing person,
some multimedia person or something like that.
It costs you nothing to stream on Twitch. It costs you nothing to stream on Twitch. You just need better internet, which one of the years that you talked about that you commentated that I saw, the stream was laggy. It was blurry. It was buffering. Like I couldn't see who the hell is fighting. The scoreboard they were using a wrestling software. So the sides were like red and green or red and blue sides. So I'm just like, which side is which? Yeah. So, and then they didn't have
red because it's I think
it was a wrestling software. They didn't have the ability to have Shidos. So you didn't know how someone lost or how many Shidos they had.
I know for a fact Amazon has a thing you can download. It has a judo software that you can download for scoring.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of software out there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of open source stuff out there. There's one that was written by a German guy. I remember that I used to use. But because I was going to write a software myself for the scoring, but then I'm like, there are so many available. Like, why would I write something that someone's done already? Why aren't they using this? That's free. But
oh man.
Anyway, so thankfully I can't remember which USA Judo tournament they had. Thankfully, the last one they actually swapped to using like a proper software, but the stream quality was just super blurry. I could not see what was happening, who was fighting.
Well,
and then
that probably had to do with the hotel's internet, I bet, because I know they're probably not using their own.
Well, that's something they have to consider when they find a venue, then, right?
Yeah.
But also one of the tournaments, the camera was placed right at the table. And you hear the people at the table talking about basically not understanding the rules of judo. They don't know who won, why they won. Like they were
was that a Shido? What was that? Was that?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And honestly, that doesn't look very perfect. I know it was volunteers. Like we've all been to judo tournaments. We know not everyone's like super into the judo competition rules.
Yeah,
but it doesn't look very professional when you have the stream going on and they're like, "Who won? Wait. How did he win?" Like,
well, here's my here's that question right there. Why would you have a camera with a mic on it at the table right there? You want to know what they're probably using? Actually, think about it. They're probably just using webcams. They're using webcams that have, I bet you it's probably webcams with built-in mics already, and they don't know how to turn the mics off. What they should do is get you can do it with a GoPro, is just get a plain camera by itself that has at least 1080p on there. You can do probably better if you want to, but just at least 1080p at least, if you're just going to do YouTube, just that, and just have a standard camera right there in the corner. And you need to have it on the corner where it's facing the mat and where it's where the sensei that's doing the sensei that's in charge, the judge in charge right there, have it right there, have the hard cam right there. That way it's facing the scoreboard. You don't have to worry about. I mean, you wouldn't have to super worry about.
They already have cameras, though. That's the thing. Like,
I know. Well, that's the thing. They're trying to kill two birds, one stone. That's what they're trying to do. They're just going to use the judges' cameras. What they're using right there is what they're streaming with at the same time. Now, I do know it's going to cost more money, but if you want to look more professional, look more nicer, you need to have at least one hard camera in the middle where the instructor is, or at least at the opposite corner to see what's going on. And it doesn't have a mic on it. That way you're not hearing what's going on with the people in the corners or the people working the scoreboards and stuff. And you wouldn't have to superimpose a score there yourself. Yeah. You just look at a scoreboard directly in front of you.
So here's an idea. And now I'm just brainstorming. I'm no longer shitting on how they run tournaments anymore, but I'm just brainstorming. What if you pay an additional fee at the tournament to be able to have access to your competition videos in high quality? I think that would be a huge headache for them. You think that'd be a huge headache? Because now they can be like, why'd you call it this way?
Yeah, I think it'd be a huge headache for them. I think it'd bring up lots about liability, not liability, but bad calling. And you know how judo refs are, they're called, they don't like being second guessed. They're called.
They already do it at the IJF level. I can look up all the athletes' matches on the IJF website, and you can see all the bad calls. So
now that would be interesting if once you put them up, don't just put them up on YouTube, but put them up on USA Judo website, and you can look up Juan Rodriguez. Here's all Juan Rodriguez matches right here.
That's what I'm saying. You have a database. This actually, I think Travis Stevens actually talked about having this in his business plan. One of his rants about USA Judo and his business plan is that you actually offer this as a service, because it's so difficult to record your matches, especially if you're traveling by yourself to Florida, for example, go to Florida. They don't allow you to have a cell phone on you. They don't allow your coach to record for you. So now you have to ask some random guy to hold your cell phone and record you. And he might have a match coming up. He doesn't know when he's going. It's just a mess, right? So if you actually invest in this infrastructure for streaming and also recording, then you could post it up online afterwards, and then people can look it up, and you're just charging us for that service. And that's how, you ever heard of flow grappling?
Yeah.
So this is how that's flow grappling's whole business model, basically. And here you are I just don't know why you don't do it when it's such a low barrier of entry to be able to do this. At least maybe not offering your videos online, but live streaming it. If you're talking about purely about growing judo's audience and advertising, live streaming it on Twitch is great. And I mean, how do they market it usually, right? They don't really do anything to announce it other than posting it on the website and on Twitter and Facebook to people who are ready to do judo.
That's another thing where when I talk about advertising for judo, some people think that, what do you want us to advertise for every individual dojo? It's like, no, I want you to advertise that for your local dojo, your local gym, your local place. USA Judo put out some damn advertisements, or USA Judo, USGF, USJ put some damn advertisements out there on Instagram, on Twitch, or on YouTube, or on TikTok or something, because they all got advertisements on there. Yeah. Okay. We all get those. You're scrolling down a thing, looking up judo videos, and then you'll get a thing for some jujitsu club or IBJJF dojos near you type stuff. Now, why aren't we doing that for judo? Look up the dojo next to you. Look up the dojo near you. Now, that's what we need to advertise as a group. Now, I'm not, people think I'm talking about individual dojos. Well, how are you to advertise just for Hollywood? I don't want you to advertise just for Hollywood. I want you to advertise for judo in Los Angeles. I want you to advertise for judo in California. Look up a dojo near you. That's what I want. The biggest thing I ever saw of USA Judo ever advertising for judo in America outside of judo itself was when Ronda Rousey was on her winning streak. They would always buy one or two of the pillar advertisement at her UFC fights. And that's all you would see. It would just say USA Judo, our symbol right there, and just say USA Judo. There wasn't a commercial for look up a dojo near you, or, and it wasn't Anik at that time. It was Joe Rogan do a little blurb of like, hey, maybe check up a dojo near you or something, like you do for BJJ all the time, talking for them. Like all they would do is just that. Even right now with Kayla doing really well in the PFL, I have never seen USA Judo, USJA, or USGF ever buy a pillar at those shows or some mat space.
Well, to be fair, how often do you actually care about those advertisements? Because I don't really care about it.
It might just be a different thing for me, but I do. I kind of like seeing who's advertising on there. It's weird to me because I've noticed stuff like how the UFC, there used to be, since 8-side ring, they would have like 8 outside advertisements on the mat. There would be 8 outside, and then it'll be like one big one in the middle now. Now there's like 8 on the outside. There's like another 8 in these little tiny corner spots now. There's a big one in the middle, and sometimes we'll have like little ones in corners. Like, man, just keep on selling more and more space.
So I don't think I see those ads all the time. I see T-Mobile inside. I see like Body Armor, and those don't really matter, I think. But what really matters is when they're like, oh, P3, the official energy drink or whatever, official drink of the UFC or something. If they can pay UFC to say USA Judo, the official martial art of UFC, I think that would mean something.
We would never get that. The official martial art at BS. I know that's never gonna fucking happen.
So that was a joke, but I will mention that we mentioned it before briefly, but there's a Freakonomics episode. If you don't know Freakonomics, look it up. There's another podcast based off of a book where they did a study that in advertisement budgets, like large advertisement budgets, actually do not increase revenue. They do not increase it. There's no correlation between it. But that's a secret that a lot of advertising departments don't want you to know because they don't want their advertising budget cut.
It's a truth, and it's that's right and it's not right at the same time, because when this again, because some people may know, some might know, I went to school for film and television production. Even though I'm a working actor, I have a degree in film and television production. So one of the classes I had to take was advertisement. And one of the things my teachers told me when it comes to advertisement is that it's not about making a good ad. It's about making a repeatable ad. And that's why you get things that have jingles. Where did Anthony go? He disappeared on me.
So, I had to blow my nose. Sorry.
It's not about making a super good ad. It's about making a repeatable ad. And that's where you get these jingles and stuff that get stuck in your head. And it was something about a person has to see an ad at least a minimum of 8 times just to get that in their mind, just to get it repeated in their head. So it's not just about, oh, we made this fantastic ad and then you show it one time. You know, you have to show it repeatedly over and over, like how you see stuff on YouTube.
Think about the Super Bowl ads, right? We've probably all seen really good Super Bowl ads. We're like, oh my God, that's so funny. But can you remember the Super Bowl ad from like 5 years ago?
I remember a few.
maybe if they're really funny, but that's the outlier, right? To clarify, I'm not saying that advertising is useless. What I'm saying is large budget, spending more money in advertisement does not mean you're going to get return on your investments. And you really need to know what you're doing and target the advertisements. And small amount cheap advertisement will work just as well.
Mm-hmm. Like it's right. You said right there, it has a target audience right there. We have to advertise to parents that want to put the kids into grappling or adults that want to learn grappling. Because the one thing that judo always has over most other grappling arts other than wrestling, we're dirt cheap most of the time, you know? Even at our dojo, our highest price that we charge at our dojo, Hollywood Judo Dojo, you're going to come over, is $50 a month. Okay.
It's funny because I got a phone call for someone who said, how much do you guys charge? I'm like, $50 a month. And he was like, wow, that's a steal. I'm like, yeah, you're damn right. Like,
yeah. Judo is the cheapest date in town. Other than some of you might find some community centers and community places that do cheaper. Like when I taught Tong Soo in Santa Clarita and Simi Valley, our charge was $7 a class. Mm-hmm. Okay. But that was a once a week class. And if some kids wanted to, they include both my classes, one in Simi Valley and one in Santa Clarita. It was Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks. That was the dojo that I taught at. If you want to go to 2 dojos once a week, that's $14. Mm-hmm. And even that's a steal. But yeah, so we're not charging what MMA gyms are charging, or a BJJ club or any other more popular grappling martial art other than wrestling, because wrestling should be free because it's usually at high school, college, or JUCO or something. Yep. But yeah, so you guys are over in LA, you want to come to Hollywood Judo Dojo, feel free. We have a $10 mat fee, only $10.
Yeah, those high dynamic throws that you see in judo happen. Those are good advertisements. So, I mean, even leading up to you can't just stream it and then like nobody knows about it. You have to like build up the event. You know how like take UFC fights, for example, you go on TV to start talking about these matchups. Like, oh, I think this guy is going to win this whole thing because he's like really good at this and that. And, they start analyzing past fights, analyzing fights in general, or teaching techniques. Like this is how you do a basic ugoshi, and you'll see these are examples of it happening, and just have these breakdowns and talks, and maybe bring on like Nick DiPapolo or something and have an interview about his Olympic run and stuff like that. Building up to these events. That's how you hype people up to go watch these things. Like imagine UFC did not announce the fights beforehand. Or they announce it, but they announce it on Twitter, and then they have like nothing leading up to it. And they're just like, why did no one pay for our pay-per-view? Like,
well, do you think that if judo as a collective here in America, okay, as USA Judo as a collective, all of us as American Judo members, and we all want to support judo. If we were to have a big event, not just USA National, but we had like a tournament, but like a show, you know, like how, what's that thing that you went to?
Fight to win.
Fight to win, like a fight to win. Okay. It was an all judo fight to win. Okay. And we had guys that were top 5 or top 10 ranked under USA Judo, just fight each other in matches. Okay. It's a one-time match, one-time fight. Let's make it a best of 3, just so it's not just one and done quick. Okay. Make it best of 3, submission, pin, throw, whatever it is, but a best of 3. Or so that might actually take long, be a 15-minute match. Well, it's just like MMA actually.
Yeah.
Because it'd be just like MMA.
I don't think, having these non-IGF rules will be palatable for a lot of people, because in the end, they're trying to grow IGF level judo. They're not trying to grow grappling. But
do you think that if we did that, all the American Judo members would be like, yeah, let's support that. Let's put it out there. I'll put it on my Instagram. I'll put it on my Twitter. I'll put it on my Twitch channel.
Unless you pay them a lot of money. I don't think so, because
I don't think they would.
Their ultimate goal is the Olympics, right? Let's be honest. The Olympics. And if whatever you ask them to do does not help them achieve that goal, then they're not going to do it.
I'm not asking them to fight. I'm just asking them to post it on their Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, so you got to pay them money.
I'll give you $1. All right.
No, like I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, but that's personally, if I was in their shoes, I would ask for money.
I would,
especially given how the USA, like the American Judo governing bodies treat the athletes. I would definitely ask for money or tell them to go pound sand. So
All right. So that's us getting off topic about advertising for judo in America. It's just
we really went off topic.
What is the topic for us? Because we love judo and we just want to grow it. We just want to help people get into judo. And if you're interested in doing judo, just go try it out. Okay. And I'm going to say this because I've said this before. If you go to one dojo and you're like, these guys are a bunch of dicks. I don't like these guys. These guys are a-holes. These guys all suck. Try a different one. And I know some towns don't have a lot of judo places. Like I know where my sister lives in Texas. I tried looking up because I was going to go out to visit her. There was one community center dojo out there, one community center dojo and like 5 BJJ places. And I was like this. So if I go out there to visit, there's only one dojo for me to train at. Hope they're open.
So yeah, we kind of went over, but let's talk about it anyway. So we don't have to talk about it next time.
Oh, he's all nervous. He's all nervous about it now.
We did not intend to talk about streaming and growing judo or anything like that. We were just going to talk about USA Sumo and then go on to talk about my Shodan exam I had.
Yay! Everyone give Anthony a round of applause. Good job, Anthony. So it was kind of a lead up that our last episode was talking about testing because Anthony was going to test for his black belt soon. And this is one of the things where we had to change stuff up I talked about before, because I'm a very heavy competition guy. I like seeing people compete. I like seeing you grow in competition, and there ain't no competitions happening. Anthony ain't going all the way to Florida to compete. He ain't going all the way to Texas to compete. He could go to Nevada, but that's not till the winter. All right. That's Winter Nationals coming up. So we had to change things up and actually give Anthony a legit test. He had to perform Nagi no Kata, and he had to perform a bunch of different judo throws, different ways, and explain why he did them and how to teach them. And we also do the same thing for Newaza techniques, how to do certain throws, how to do certain chokes, how to go to certain arm bars, and how to do, I always mess up that name of that thing, that hiking roll.
Huizinga roll, yeah.
Hiking roll. It was funny because he asked me, Juan, how do you do the Gisizin roll? And I was like,
what is that?
What's that? I never heard of that one before. But then he showed me in a video. I was like, oh, I know that. That has a name.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Named after Mark Huizinga. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you enjoy your test? Were you prepared? Were you nervous?
I was nervous at first because I was mostly nervous because of my knee. My knee was when I got that email, I was taking a nap, and then I got an email from Philippe, and he was like, I want you to start prepping for your, he was like, I want to start you prepping for your Shodan test by the end of the year. And then I was like, we usually give out our Shodans at the Christmas party in December. So I'm like, oh, I have a lot of time to prepare for that. So I was like, okay. And he was like, I want you to start prepping the Nagi no Kata. And then as we get closer, we'll give you a list of stuff that I want to see from you. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, fair enough. But the reason I was nervous at first is because of my knee. My knee was in pretty bad shape at the time. Then, especially as I started practicing it, I was more nervous about finding a partner. Because we usually promote, like we were talking about, we usually promote in pairs, but I had no other person to promote in pair with. And I was going to I asked Kevin to be my partner at first because he was around my height and weight. But then he got busy with work and he actually stopped showing up to the dojo because it was his new job. So that didn't work. And luckily, Matthew ended up helping me out. So thank you, Matthew. But that was that. So that way I wasn't nervous. But when I started practicing with Matthew, let's go with Matthew was a little rusty. So,
so people don't know, like we talk about Matt sometimes. Matt's one of my best friends. We came to LA together. We actually started judo when we legit started taking judo seriously and stuff. We started at the dojo at the same time. I got my black belt before Matt. We're supposed to get at the same time, but stuff happens, life happens. So he got his black belt maybe 2 years after me. So he is a legitimate black belt. I actually did his kata with him. I've done kata with a bunch of people, actually.
If I remember correctly, he never did the uke part though. That's what you said. Yeah, right?
Yeah, he only performed it. Well, also same thing with you.
Yeah.
Don't be throwing stones at glass houses, all right?
I did most of the uke parts, actually. So Matt's another black belt at the dojo. He's starting to come back to the dojo now. And since he's a bigger gentleman like Anthony, they're both tall guys, he was like, I'll do it with them. And Matt was rusty. But they were both rusty because he was throwing Matt like crazy on some of those throws. It was really hard. Yeah.
That kata groom was a killer.
Yeah, I won't throw stones at the glass house, like I said. So I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it at that, and not defend myself. But But you gotta admit it, he did not straighten his legs for those katagurumas. So
he wasn't as straight as I would like it. I will give that to you. He wasn't as straight as I would like it. He wasn't that bored like you're supposed to be. He was more of a bow, I guess.
Yeah, he was a bow, and that caused the weight to be. I had to literally push him off of me, so that's why the throws were pretty hard. But anyway, he was a little rusty, so I was nervous. I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna have to like. It's not just me that's working on it. Like Matt's gonna need work on it too. And then after I did it, my knee was hurting like crazy for the first month or so that I was practicing it. And it was swell up when I get home. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this with this knee? Right. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, as how my relationship with judo works out is that it ended up being pretty good rehab for my knee. It strengthened it a lot. I lost a little bit of fat and gained some muscle weight from doing the whole kata. It's much harder than it looks because I'm still going to say it. The uke part is harder than the tori part. The person taking the fall has a harder job than the person doing the throw. But at least the person taking the fall doesn't have to use all these muscles. So I think it was extra hard for me because of my knee. Plus I have something going on with my foot now. So that made it really, really difficult. And practicing it really, the hard part for me was not actually practicing the kata. The hard part was the stretching afterwards. That when I get home, icing it, stretching it. That was like the most work I've had done. Like there were many times where I was tired when I get home, I want to go to bed. And I'm like, no, I can't sleep. I have to go stretch first before I go to bed because I get home late. And that was the hard part of it. Otherwise, the Shodan test was relatively straightforward. I was nervous because Philippe added some stuff at the end, right before the test. I was going to think about doing it in November because I was like, oh, might as well get as much practice in as possible. Yeah. But Philippe kept asking me, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? So I'm like, what? Let's do it next.
I'm not ready. Leave me alone. Go away.
So I was like, let's do it next week. And then
all right.
He was like, okay, let's do it next week. And of course, that following Monday, he was like, I'm going to ask you some surprise questions. And I'm like, okay. And I know you joke about me being a judo encyclopedia. So I'm like, what do I not know that Philippe will ask me? I'm like, it has to be Newaza, right? It has to be mostly Newaza stuff. And my Shodan test was a lot of Newaza stuff. And then the Thursday, right before the test, like 2 days before the test, he was like, oh, by the way, I'm adding these things too. So I'm like, okay, now I have like 1 day to practice it. So
well, it's funny. It was like 3 days where you're gonna take your test. He sent me a text message like, so I'm gonna score him I'm gonna score him now on a thing from 1 to 5, and he has to get a score of this much. I'm like, whoa, he's just throwing stuff at him because I guess because I don't know because of what I was saying, but I was telling him, he would ask me, well, how's your kata coming? How's your kata coming? I'm like, well, some days it's a C, some days it's a C minus. Like they would get, if they went to a clinic, I think they would pass, but they might be told, come back in 3 months and let us retest you, or we'll give you a pass, but come back in 6 months, or come to like 3 of our clinics, brush it up on it, make it a little bit more nicer, and then we'll pass you. So to me, it was always like, it was kind of right there. But then the week of, you guys like cleaned that thing up. Like the time you guys demonstrated it, the one time you demonstrated it in front of the entire class on accident, it was just like people were just around. It looked nice. Like it was the best I've ever seen you guys do it. Like, I don't know what it was. Like pressure makes diamonds, that's what they say. And it looked like a diamond.
I think partially it was pressure and partially is because we had the whole mat to ourselves, because we usually practice during class time. And during class time, it was like, I had to make sure the other guy wasn't going to, because some of the people don't have control and they're doing randori on the side. And some, let's just say some visitors we had wasn't respecting our space. Yeah. So we had to watch out for that. And then we weren't using the normal square area we were using. We were like scrunched up. So that kind of affected a lot of things. So the fact that it was silent, because everyone started watching and it went silent. And then we had the whole mat space for ourselves. And then plus the pressure, that kind of made us perform really well, I think. Yeah. So
that last week really improved.
I lose concentration very easily. So on the day of the test, there was one, I'll claim that the one mess up I had was Sumi Gaeshi. I was about to do my left foot when it was the right foot first. and I swapped midair. Like I was like, oh, it's the wrong foot. And then I swapped foot midair and it kind of like looked kind of weird. That was because I can't remember who walked in or someone made a noise or like someone outside in the homeless camp made a noise or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It sounds like I'm making excuses, but that was what broke my concentration was that happened. That was the one mess up. But for those who are interested, I actually have, can't really see it.
Can't see it right now.
You can't.
Philippe covered up your face.
Yeah, Philippe gave me my scoring rubric thing, how he scored me as a souvenir. But yeah.
Was there anything, because you said the Waza stuff messed you up, and there was a couple of times where Philippe would tell you, like, because there's one thing where he's telling you to do a single combination, go into a pin, into an arm bar, and you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go for a pin. Then you would add like one or two steps, and Philippe would be like, no, just 2 steps. Don't add a third or fourth. Just 1 or 2.
Part of that was from BJJ, I think, that kind of carried over, because BJJ is always like about transitions into submissions. It's never like going from it's very different from judo, how judo is like you want to be explosive and fast because of the ref standing you up. But BJJ is always like you start at this position, then you go to this position, then you go to this position, right? So yeah, I think I just overcomplicated stuff, as Philippe said, because of my habits from BJJ training. And Newaza was always my weak point, especially given my Shodan test now. I'm going to take my BJJ training a little more seriously, because for me, it was always kind of like for fun. And I always, like, as most people said you should do, is separate BJJ training from judo training. Don't go to BJJ trying to do judo Newaza. But I think now I will focus more on my pressure game a little more to make it apply to judo more seriously, and also work on my Newaza a bit. But funny enough, I started BJJ because of my knee injury, but BJJ is much rougher on my knees than judo, actually. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff on the ground I can't do.
Because all the grinding on the mat, being on your knees the entire time.
Grinding on the mat and also passing people's guards. Like one time that my knee popped out of the socket was trying to get out of someone's half guard. So now I don't really try to force my way out of people's half guards anymore. Also, what else? Like De La Hiva guard, like people pushing on my knee, bending in a weird way. Like, yeah, BJJ is just really rough on my knees. Judo, I can adjust. I feel like I can adjust the way I fight in judo. And that's why the Nagi no kata was so hard for me, was because you can't adjust the way you do the kata. Like if you're, like, for example, Sasai on the right side. Sasai on the right, you're going to, Sasai on the right, you're going to pivot on that side no matter what. Like you can't swap sides or swap your grip. You can't pivot less. You can't jump. It's just how it's defined in the kata. And doing it with an injury was definitely pretty difficult, I think. And I know Philippe said he was going to, take it easy on me because of giving the condition of my knee. But I feel like I did it properly for the most part, other than the sitting, because I still can't sit in Seiza. So the kneeling part was the one part that I didn't do properly.
What was the hardest throw in Nagi no kata for you?
Oh yeah, the Yokogake mentally was the hardest for me, definitely.
It's always hard for people. I don't understand why people think it's so hard.
Taking the fall was hard. It's like I said, if I didn't do the uke part with Jorge, we talked about, I did the uke part with Jorge, I wouldn't be so mentally traumatized by it, and I wouldn't mess up so much on it, because I was so afraid of taking that fall, because I remember how much it hurts. But now that I know how to do it, it's not that hard. And I'm not taking the fall. So part of me is like, oh, I feel bad for Matt having to take that fall. But if you go back and look at the video, I don't want to bash Matt, but he didn't fall properly for that fall, actually. So it wasn't that hard for him. I would say Harai Goshi is actually the hardest one for me.
Okay.
If you don't put into account the uke doing the job for you, the footsteps for Harai Goshi and the hip placement and staying upright and everything, that was the hardest for me. Okay. Especially, it took me a good month before I got the third step where you put the foot around. That part took me the hardest time to learn.
And as someone now that you love tests and stuff, and you like having to like do all this testing stuff, and you're all happy about this because I can't judge people on their tournaments anymore, or for a little while I can't. Are you satisfied with it, with your test? Was it everything you wanted? Do you think you were missing stuff? Or
I feel like in the back of my head, I feel like some people would feel like I don't deserve it, but then like I'm kind of conflicted about it. But I trust Philippe's judgment in the end.
You did what we asked of you. You performed everything we asked you to. Not everyone's going to take the same course to get their black belt. You know
exactly. We talked about paths, right?
Yeah. I got mine through competition, and USJ. When I did mine, we were doing everything the way USJF said to do it through competition points, and then like we didn't put our paperwork right before Christmas, and because of that, we got the stuff changed that next year. So we had to go get referee certificates. We had to go to a tournament and referee to be certified. We got our coaching stuff because that said like it was a recommendation. We didn't have to. We did it anyways. We got the background check. Like you have to do that anyways, the background check and stuff. But when we first did it, it was said that you had to perform the kata, but just the first 3 sets. You had to do all 5. And then they changed it. It's like, oh no, now you have to do all 5 too now. So you have to add stuff. So people are going to do different things. You can't go compete right now because there's not a lot of tournaments. So how are you going to get points? So what we did is that we developed a test for you that shows everything, tests you on everything you should know as a black belt. And to us, to me, to Philippe, to anybody else that was there that day, Eric, you passed. You did everything you're supposed to do. You know everything you're supposed to know. If I ask you anything to demonstrate it, you know how to do it.
Maybe I'm moving a bit fast on the topic here, but the following Monday, when I got when I showed up with my black belt, some people were trying to put me through the floor. Some people were trying to throw me through the floor. Yeah, some people were definitely going harder on me, and I did. I mean, same thing with when I got my brown belt. I felt like everyone turned it up a notch, and I was mostly able to handle it. But I also, like I mentioned, I have a wedding coming up, so I didn't want to risk any injuries right before the wedding, right? Yep. So I didn't let it escalate. I just took the falls. I took Big Juan. I took like 5 Makikomis in a row where he landed on top of me. Like he basically landed straight on top of me. Yeah. And to me, I was like, oh, you gotta be a black belt to take those falls 5 times in a row. Like, so there's that. And also to me, it's like, okay, I have the self-control to be able to do this. I shouldn't let him, he just charged straight at me and just was like, usually I'd go with him, but I'm like, okay, don't let it get to you. Just don't let it escalate just because you have a black belt. Like, don't feel like, yes, you have to defend, like you mentioned before, you have to defend your right to wear a black belt. But at the same time, that black belt means you have to have self-control and all that kind of stuff, which we talked about self-control because of the incident. But so I didn't let it escalate. And it's funny because I feel like now that I'm a black belt, I'm open to try out a lot more techniques that don't work. And on people that I've been, I feel like people aren't going easy on me. So if I know something doesn't work on another black belt, I know it doesn't work. I don't have to be like, hey, like, did it not work because you're going easy on me, or did it work because you took the fall? Or like, now I feel like, okay, I know what level we're going at. And I know he's not taking it easy on me because we're both black belts. So if this doesn't work, I need to try something else. But at the same time, like we have the twins we talk about. I was telling Philippe how Philippe and Charles actually, how going against them as a black belt right now feels like the first day I came to the dojo as an orange belt. It still feels the same. Like I feel like the distance between us hasn't really closed. They're that. He's changed. It feels like nothing has changed. They're still stiff arming you like crazy, and you can't get past their stiff arms. Their grip fighting game is just that good. But I still try to throw them. So I have different tricks now to try. And I guess I can get them to change the grips more and try harder. But they're also 3 years older now. So like, I don't know, but I have a lot of mixed feelings, and maybe you ask me again in a month, I'll give you more of my thoughts. But right now it just feels like, I trust Philippe's decision basically, because he's not just some no name sensei. So I like I said, like your black belt's representing the sensei that gave it to you, your instructor. Mm-hmm. So he sees something in me, whatever it is. And another thing I want to say is that the last couple of tournaments I went to as a brown belt, it was a brown and black belt division. Mm-hmm. And I beat all the brown belts. I just couldn't beat any black belts. So on one hand, I'm like, okay, I can't beat any black belts. I'm not a black belt level yet when the tournament happened. But on the other hand, if you think about the promotion requirements at the Kodokan and also at the Batsugan, it's like you have to beat 5 people your rank or higher in a row. So I'm like, okay, I beat all of the brown belts. Does that mean I'm like above the brown belt level then? Maybe these black belts are just seasoned.
Brown belt. I'm the tallest midget. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, on one hand, I feel like I'm not on the black belt level because I can't beat any black belts. But on the other hand, I feel like, hey, I passed the criteria to be a black belt. So like, which one is it? Right. So
yeah. I know for some people, when they first get their black belt, they sometimes feel like they don't deserve it, or do I really deserve it?
I mean, it's what they call imposter syndrome. It happens in my industry, software engineering industry, like same thing.
Mm-hmm. But you're a black belt now. You're a legit black belt. You know stuff. I just in the thinking of you as a teacher or someone as an instructor, you're surpassed that. You know a lot more than some places I've gone to visit. Okay. Now, you may not think your technique's the best, or you might be a world beater like some people are, but when it comes to the whole thing of being an instructor, an assistant instructor, knowing the techniques, you're at a black belt level, no problem. I remember when you first joined the dojo and you were in a citrus color, I think after like a week or a month or something, after training with you, I told Philippe, he's a brown belt. And it was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, he's a brown belt. Give him a brown belt. And we gave you a brown belt, like what, a month or 2 months after you started training with us?
I got a green belt after that first.
Did you?
Yeah. Okay. I came as an orange belt. You guys gave me a green belt like 2 months later, right before I hurt my knee, actually. Right before I hurt, no, not 2 months, a month later. Because I came in December. Mm-hmm. The tournament, I hurt my knee in January, and then I went to the tournament in February. So, it was like 2 or 3 months. You gave me my green belt. And then after I came, I think it was another 4 months before you guys gave me my brown belt. Yeah.
4 or 5. So 6 months in, like, I remember being very impressed with your technique and your knowledge when you first joined us. And I was surprised how much of a low rank you were. So that might be why, like, I was talking high of you. That might be why we gave you a green belt so fast. Probably should have given you like a purple or blue, but we rarely, as things change, we rarely give out purple or blue belts at our dojo. We are now giving them out because, hey, COVID, I can't have people going to tournaments, can't have people go competing. So shit happens. But yeah, you deserve it. Don't think you don't. Some people, you're going to get those people that might be like, oh, well, I don't know if he deserves it, because some people have a different mindset like I do. Like they come from a competition background. I'd be like, well, Anthony hasn't got a national championship yet. He hasn't placed top 3 at Winter Nationals, Summer Nationals, or USA Nationals, or he hasn't gotten California State Games, blah, blah, blah. It's like, not everyone's a competition person. Not everyone's going to compete.
I love competing. It's just, as you get older, like when I was younger, when I started judo, it was easy to wait all day for a tournament. But as you get older, it's like you get tired. And then I have a dog. I can't stay out the whole time. And especially now with an injury too, like that's another thing I have to consider, right? It's just, I love competing. It's just I can't compete at that level that most people are competing at anymore. So.
Well, it's like when I had to do a couple of years ago when I decided, when I hurt my knee, like one of the last times I hurt my knee, my neck. It was actually my neck that I hurt. That was the last thing. And I was like, okay, I love competing, but it looks like I'm only going to be able to compete at big tournaments now, because I cannot spend all day waiting to compete against some brown belt or some white belt or something.
That's how I'm seeing it too.
I can't go to local tournaments no more. I love competing. I would compete once a month if I could. But now, if it ain't a state tournament or a national tournament, I don't compete. So if I'm lucky, I'll compete 3, maybe 4 if I'm lucky, but usually it's twice a year now. Yeah. But at my age, that's fine. Damn near 40.
Even if I'm competing, I wouldn't go as hard as I did when I was younger, because I have to, like you said, I have to account my injuries and everything into account. So, I mean, going through knee surgery was the turning point for me, I guess. I've never ever experienced that much pain in my life for like it sucks basically. Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm so big on safety, because I don't want anyone else that I teach to go through the same thing. Basically, it's one of the worst pains I've ever encountered. So
yep. You deserve your black belt. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. You passed it, and we gave you the nicest black belt we have, and you're still going to buy another one.
Here's the question I have for you guys. I should ask Philippe this. Do you think anyone else, including our black belts, would pass that test that Philippe gave me?
I would.
You would? Okay.
I would. Me, Eric.
I know you would. Yeah.
Matt, maybe. Charles, probably.
So I'm not talking about you give them like what Philippe did for me, which is just give me time to study for it. But like if you just gave that to them, like tomorrow, let's say tomorrow you gave it to them and told them to do that.
Oh, then definitely just probably be me and Eric, I think. I mean, no, yeah, me and Eric probably the only two people pass that, I bet. Maybe Charles. Charles knows. Charles is surprisingly, you'd be surprised how many techniques Charles knows. He doesn't show it, but he knows a lot of stuff, He does. Charles taught me my Ochigari, which won me a lot of tournaments, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Charles' technique. Yeah. So what about I'm not going to say his name, but I know Philippe's talking about giving another guy his black belt early next year. Like, what do you think about him? If he gave him the same test, if he gave him the same test, probably not
with the same time to study.
Right now, because he's asked me a lot of questions about stuff. Like he was asking me a bunch of questions when I was doing a blue belt a blue belt test on some of our newer guys, not newer guys, but some guys are going to test for a blue belt. So I was going to a reviewer class with them and he was like, "Oh, what's that?" Since he won. "Oh, what's that? How does that work? What is this right here?" I'm like, "Oh, you should know this, but okay. You join our little club here. I'm doing a little refresher course. It looks like now." So yeah, he wouldn't pass that thing, but if you gave him a thing, he would learn it. I think he would.
Yeah. I knew Philippe wasn't going to ask me any technical Tachiwaza questions because I know a lot of them. He only asked a couple of them, but yeah. Anyway, almost coming up to 2 hours.
All right. So that's Anthony telling me he's ready to go. Oh, it's about to leave the station now. Time to go. All right. So anybody out there, you want to hit us up, you can hit us up on our Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can hit us up on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You want to send some messages, email questions to us, topic things. You want to talk to us, let us know. You can hit us up at tatamitalk@gmail.com. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at @Jerry_Juan at Instagram. You want to follow Anthony, you can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. Am I forgetting anything?
No, but I just realized now everyone knows I'm weak on Newaza. So if you see me at a tournament, just get me to the ground.
Just take you down for Newaza. Drag him down. Just take him down. Hey, he's a BJJ. What are you, a white belt with one stripe?
White belt, like 3 stripes. Yeah. 3 years, 1 year per stripe.
Watch out, all right? He's a white belt with 3 stripes. Don't you mess with my boy on Newaza, all right? He'll get you that key and roll, all right? He'll get you that key and roll.
All right.
All right, everybody. Have a good week. See you guys next time.
Good week.